This is the Mets POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Normally, we talk about a baseball team finding ways to win. Recently, especially tonight for the New York Mets, they have been finding ways to lose as they fall 7-4 to the Atlanta Braves for their fifth consecutive loss. This Atlanta team, their third loss in a row, and now it makes it 10 of their last 11 that they have dropped. Welcome in to the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. I don't know if I've used this line before. If I have, I think it'll still hit. We're not in the Twilight Zone. We're not just replaying the same thing over and over again. This isn't Groundhog's Day. The Mets just every day continue to do the same thing. And yet, here we are talking about another loss for the New York Mets. 7-4, the final score in this one. And it is just tough times for the New York Mets. Nothing seems to go their way right now. It feels like they are unable to put together a complete effort across the board. Hitting, starting pitching, bullpen, they have not been able to put together a complete effort in quite some time. That was the story again tonight, and that's where we'll start because that's what you'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Last night, the Mets necessarily didn't get the starting pitching they were looking for. Tonight, they got the starting pitching they were looking for. Last night, the Mets got the bullpen outing they were looking for. Tonight, they didn't get the bullpen outing that they were looking for. Tonight, they scored some runs early. Last night, they weren't able to score a ton of runs. It just is a team right now that is unable to put it all together. Because the story of this game tonight is you had a chance. Your starting pitching gave this team a chance. They gave themselves an early lead. When was the last time the Mets had an early lead and their starting pitching held that lead during this 11-game stretch that we have all been sitting here and going through? They just didn't do it. They didn't hold on to a lead tonight. They had a lead. They handed it off to their bullpen, their great bullpen, which has been great all year. They weren't great tonight. It's par for the course for what is going on for this team right now. And I know in the ninth, they're able to get the tying run to the plate, but the Braves took the lead in this game in the sixth inning by scoring 5 runs by making it 5-3. The Mets, after giving up a 5 spot, after giving up the lead, had the bottom of the 6th, the bottom of the 7th, the bottom of the 8th, the bottom of the 9th. They had 12 outs to try to put together a rally in this game. They had lifeless at-bats in the bottom of the 6th. They had lifeless at-bats in the bottom of the 7th. Lifeless at-bats in the bottom of the 8th. Wasn't until their backs were fully up against the wall in the 9th inning, down to their last out or two, that we saw a rally. This team had a chance to turn this game around. I know most of you thought when the Braves scored 5 runs, the game was over. The Mets had 12 outs to play with, to scratch and claw and fight and get 2 runs across, and they couldn't do it. Staring at strike threes, swinging out of the zone for strike 3. It was just an abysmal effort after they gave up the lead. They looked like a team that the moment the Braves scored those runs to take the lead, they decided the game was over. That's what makes this type of streak really bad, is that when a team now is in their own head, the way that they clearly are now, that they are expecting the bad things to happen to them. And when the bad things do happen to them, there isn't that counter response. There isn't them going out there and fighting and scratching and clawing. They didn't do it. They kind of did it in the 9th inning, but they didn't do it in the 6th. They didn't do it in the 7th. They didn't do it in the 8th. They had chances. They had at-bats. They had 12 outs to play with after they gave up the lead, and they were unable to do anything with it. And I think that's the part for tonight's game in particular that frustrates me. I get it. The bullpen wasn't great tonight. I get it. Last night, the starting pitching hasn't been great. I understand that the pitching has been the center of our conversations during a lot of this 11-game stretch, if not the majority of this 11-game stretch. But you can't have this woe is me attitude. You can't have this defeatist nature about you. And tonight, I think I saw a defeated baseball team. I saw a baseball team that when that happened to them in the 6th inning, they accepted it and they just moved on. And that to me this is the worst loss of the 11 games for me. None of the 3 games against Tampa, none of the games in Atlanta. This game really bothered me because they had every opportunity. The Braves didn't score 5 in the top of the 9th to take the lead, and the Mets only had 3 outs to play with. They had almost half the game to play with, and there wasn't a response until they were down to their last, 2 outs? Last out? This team's too talented at the top of the lineup. Lindor, Nimmo, Soto, Alonso all got at bats in those latter stages of the game, and they couldn't do anything with it. Tonight's a night where they go 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They only leave 6 men on base. They actually did what they were supposed to do early in the game. They just couldn't do it late. And that's the frustrating part. That's the thing that really sticks in my head coming out of this game. We have to talk about the bright spot of this game. The bright spot of this game being Frankie Montas. We'll talk more about the bullpen, the stuff to keep an eye on. David Stearns met with the media today, shared some news that obviously is important about Sean Manaea. So we will get to all of that and your thoughts here on the Mets Postcast here on the other side. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. It's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB to get 50% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnMLB and use promo code LockedOnMLB for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, efficacy, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning that big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, this is more than just a budgeting app. Complete financial command center. You can track your accounts, investments, spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. If you share finances with someone, Monarch is the app that's going to help you stay on the same page. Those financial goals that you've been meaning to get serious about, Monarch Money is going to help you achieve those goals. All of your accounts and spending in one place. I know, dining out, entertainment, all of that stuff can add up and you can be surprised by it. Monarch Money is the thing you need. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LockedOnMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LockedOnMLB for half off your first year. Back here on the Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, Locked On Mets podcast feed. Chris Schubert with you here after another Mets loss, 7-4 the final, as they fall to the Atlanta Braves for the 5th straight time. Their 3rd loss in a row, their 10th loss in their last 11 games. We'll talk about the one bright spot because Frankie Montas made his Mets debut tonight and was excellent. And I am not going to shy away from using that word. Frankie Montas was excellent tonight for the New York Mets, giving them 5 scoreless innings. Coming into this game, I know all of you were nervous. You don't run away from it. You were nervous about Frankie Montas starting this game tonight. He had a 12 ERA in his minor league rehab appearances. And even I was a little worried about the 12 ERA. I tried to talk about maybe he was working on some things, and so not necessarily trying to buy into the results, but a 12 ERA is a 12 ERA, and it worried all of us. Shouldn't worry us. Don't worry about what goes on in minor league rehab starts. Don't worry about the actual results on the box score because Frankie Montas was excellent tonight. 5 scoreless innings, had that sinker working up to 98 miles an hour, got Acuna a couple of times with it up in the zone. He was excellent. You knew he was working on a little bit of a restricted pitch count tonight, aiming for around 80 pitches. And with the way the Mets pitching has been going as of late, you were worried about him getting into the 5th, getting into the 6th inning, and being able to provide the Mets the necessary length. He was great tonight. 5 scoreless innings and really kept these Braves hitters on their toes. And for a Mets team that needs pitching reinforcements, especially with news we're going to get to a little bit later on, Frankie Montas was a very nice sight to see tonight. I thought it was really good to see him have that start. Ended up with 5 strikeouts, did have 3 walks, but 5 scoreless. He was great tonight for this team. The bullpen, however, was not. It was 9 walks in total from the team, 3 from Montas, like we mentioned, 6 walks. Brazoban walked 3, Castillo didn't walk any, Garrett walked 1, Richard Lovelady walked 2. They just free passes, free opportunities. And it was in that 6th inning, Huáscar Brazoban comes into the game and walks the first 3 batters he faces in the 6th inning. You just can't do that. You are not going to win baseball games when you immediately set up a bases loaded jam, not by hits, not by getting the ball smoked into the gap and just being able to tip your cap and saying, hey, Ronald Acuna Jr., you got us. Matt Olson, you got us. Marcell Ozuna, you got us. I mean, it's easy. They've got some good players on the other side. It's easy to tip your cap and say, okay, good pitch. You just did better with it. Great job. It's not the case here. Free passes ruin you. Free passes are just the absolute, you can't walk 9 guys in a baseball game and expect to win. You cannot give free at-bats with runners in scoring position. It will just kill you as a baseball team, and it certainly has done that for the Mets so far this season. They've done it 3 times where they've walked 9 guys. All 3 of them have come during this stretch. All 3 times they've done it this year have come during this 10 of 11 stretch. Is that surprising to any of you? It is certainly not surprising to me that this stretch of results for the Mets coincides with us getting or us seeing some of the worst bullpen performances so far of the season. Brazoban was not very good tonight. Reed Garrett, after being great the night before, was not good tonight in this game. Dednell Nunez is okay, but again, he gave up a hit that put some runs on Lovelady's final tally. They just aren't getting the consistent bullpen work from these guys who have been great all season long. Huáscar Brazoban was, at one point this season, the most trusted reliever that the Mets had. I mean, he was more trusted than Edwin Diaz at the early juncture of the season. Probably around the middle of May, you looked at Huáscar Brazoban as the guy you trusted the most. He pitched in every leverage spot imaginable, was an opener, was a guy that pitched in the 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, the 9th inning when they didn't have Diaz, was their guy in the extra innings, all over the place, used everywhere. Now, tonight, walks 3, gives up 3 runs. Jose Castillo, since coming to the Mets, was a great left-handed option. Tonight, gives up 2 runs. Is that a product of overworking him because he's really the only lefty that the team has that they have trusted here since Minter and Danny Young went down? I mean, they don't have a reliable left-handed option that they can go to. That's a problem for this team. And again, on a night where they go 4 for 7 and with runners in scoring position, it's still not enough. We're still talking about a team that lost. We're still talking about a team that had an 0 for 5 from Lindor, an 0 for 4 from Nimmo, an 0 for 2 with 2 walks from Soto, a 1 for 4 from Alonso. I saw a stat earlier today that the Mets have the biggest drop-off between their 1 through 4 hitters OPS and their 5 through 9 hitters OPS. You saw it again tonight. 1 hit between the first 4 hitters. The bottom of the lineup actually had the 5 hits that the Mets had. The bottom part of the lineup had 4 of the 5. So tonight, you didn't get it from the top part of the lineup. That's the frustrating part. Brett Baty had a big hit in this game with 2 RBIs, with the 2 RBI single that he hit there in that 4th inning to give the Mets the early 3-0 lead. I want to go back to a comment that I saw. I always want to hear from you here on the Mets Postcast. I want to put up this comment from Gigi, who says Mendoza needs to clearly call out his players and stop making excuses for them. And a couple things about that. One, this is a different era of baseball. You are not going to see Carlos Mendoza go up there at the podium, whether it's before the game, after the game, during the game when he talks to the broadcast or whatever. He's not going to overly criticize his players. Just not what he's going to do. But you got criticism from him last night. So that's why I wanted to put up this comment, because you got it last night. I heard one of the strongest comments that I've heard from Carlos Mendoza since taking over as the manager. He directly said, we're not getting enough from the bottom part of the lineup. Those guys aren't turning the lineup over and setting the table for the guys at the top, the superstars of this team. He said it. He said out loud, the bottom of the lineup isn't doing enough. He yesterday at the media availability, post-game press conference with the media, said, we're swinging too much out of the zone. I mean, he called the players out about as strongly as you can call a player out in 2025. If you want him to throw water bottles, flip tables, throw chairs, That's not going to happen. That's not the way a manager manages in 2025. But we saw last night, Carlos Mendoza call out his team in a way that I've never seen him call out the team. He talked about the bottom of the lineup. He talked about the swinging outside of the zone and that being a problem for them. He criticized this team and their mistakes. Now, I don't know if this is a troll, but D. Rel says Mendoza took Montas out for no reason. No, there was a very, very obvious reason. He had thrown 80 pitches in 5 innings. It is the most pitches that he'd thrown in a start this entire year. He got up to 80 pitches in his last rehab start. And if you had a chance to catch David Stearns before the game, they mentioned that in that last rehab start, Frankie Montas started showing some fatigue in that 5th inning as his pitch count elevated. He was on a pitch count coming into this game. It was at exactly 80 pitches. So they were not going to move him or use him beyond 5 innings tonight. He did exactly what was asked of him. And so, no, Frankie Montas was not going to see the 6th inning tonight once his pitch count was at 80 pitches. He went to his bullpen. He went to one of his trusted guys out of that bullpen, and he didn't have it. Oscar Brazoban did not have it tonight. The other stuff to keep an eye on, well, the bad news started before the game today as we learned that Sean Manaea is going to be shut down for the next 48 to 72 hours with a loose body in his elbow. He got a cortisone shot to try to reduce the inflammation there with that elbow. He says things are okay. They don't think it's a long-term thing. They don't think it's going to set him back that much, just a couple of days, and then it's going to be one more rehab start, and then they are going to call him up. So it doesn't feel like it's a big deal, but it does feel like, obviously, with everything that has happened to this team, you can just add this to the list of bad news that this team has gotten as of late. Other stuff to keep an eye on. Let's see if this is the type of performance that can spark the bottom of the lineup. I mean, McNeil had a hit in this game. Brett Baty went 2 for 4. Until Vientos comes back, that's your starting third baseman. And even when Vientos does come back, is that their opportunity to send Mauricio down and Baty moves over to second and they're playing McNeil more in center field? That's a configuration that they've used in the past. So Brett Baty is going to be a part of this team. He's going to play a role here and slot in at third sometimes. Maybe they use Vientos as their DH option. And so Baty's going to be playing a lot of third base. So a 2 for 4 night drives in some runs, or excuse me, a 1 for 4 night drives in 2 runs. Could that be something that gets him going potentially? Because they're going to need him. They're going to need this bottom of the lineup to turn things around. It is a series, not a series loss yet. It's 2 more games of this series. They've got a game tomorrow, which Clay Holmes will be on the mound. We got a comment here that said, didn't Alvy get thrown out of the AAA game today? No, he left the game with what the team was calling heat, dizziness. It was warm today in New York. It was, over 100 at one point during the day. It was 97 degrees at first pitch tonight. So he had a little bit of a dizziness thing going on. So they took him out of the game and playing it very precautionary, but nothing more than that, at least according to all of the reports. Dizziness and just the heat was pretty unbearable today in New York. Ricardo says, I would have given Montas one more inning. Call me crazy. Yeah, that was not in the cards once he got to 80 pitches. And you saw in the 5th that he wasn't super sharp there in the 5th inning. And that was obviously the plan going in, that he was going to top out at around 80 pitches. So the Mets will pass the baton to Clay Holmes, and he will try to avoid the series loss, as the first 2 have gone to the Braves. Last 5 have gone to the Braves. And the Mets will look to snap a 3-game losing streak. They'll try to turn things around tomorrow. They're looking for answers. They are searching for, and this is what they're searching for. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty simple. They are searching for a complete game. They are searching for quality starting pitching, a nice offensive performance, and the bullpen being the bullpen. And as Chris just pointed out in the YouTube chat, when the bottom of the order hits, the top disappears. When the top of the order hits, the bottom is non-existent. This team has to put together a complete game. And then after they put one complete game, then it's about putting another complete game right behind it. It's about stacking those performances. And at some point, when we're talking 10 of 11, we're talking 5 in a row against a certain team, we're talking another losing streak starting after they snapped one on Saturday, you do start to wonder, and I've mentioned it here, about it being a mental thing, about it being just, it's in their heads that they are going through it right now. And as the broadcast mentioned, and I've mentioned here before, the Mets will come out of this. At some point, they'll snap out of this, and we'll see that Mets team that we saw at the beginning of the year. You're just left wondering when. And right now, you're left wondering what is going to happen to us tonight that hasn't happened to us in the past. That is going to do it for us here on the Mets Postcast. A quick programming note. This is it for me for this week. You don't have me the rest of the week. I am taking a little bit of vacation, going to a friend's wedding. So I am off the grid. So no postcast for me for the rest of the week. You'll have to enjoy this Brave series without me. You'll have to enjoy the weekend series without me. I will be back. Let's take a quick peek at the schedule here so I can tell you the next time that I will be back with you. I believe Ryan's going to be doing some content for you after these games in the meantime. But the next time you will hear from me will be after Tuesday's game against Milwaukee. So I'm out the rest of this Atlanta series. I'm out for the 3-game series in Pittsburgh. The next time you'll hear from me is after that Tuesday game against the Milwaukee Brewers. But appreciate all of you joining us here on the Mets Postcast, even during this tough stretch. If you are new here, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live. If you're listening to us over in the podcast feed, come on out and join us after each and every Mets game. We go live to recap the good, the bad, the ugly. And yes, there's been a lot of bad and a lot of ugly as of late. I will be back after the Atlanta series gets done, after the Pittsburgh series gets done. And let's see, maybe when I'm back on Tuesday to recap that Brewers game, we're talking about a couple of wins. Maybe I can come back and things will be good. Here's to hoping. Have a good one, Mets fans.